Goeiemorgen.
Good morning.
We have
Hoe gaan dit?
Lebang Khosana, we have Leigh-Ann Mole. It is Monday morning and we are live. Well, we're alive. That's
I'm glad
that's a
you're
good
using
start.
I'm glad you're using your radio voice.
My radio voice? What do you mean?
And we are live.
Good
Oh,
morning.
All right. Okay, I didn't even realize I was doing that. How stupid. Okay, good. Good start to the day and a good start to the week, hopefully. There's lots to do and lots to talk about this morning. Lebang said to me just before we started the show, she's like, oh, I've got a very important announcement to make right at the beginning. And look at her with her glasses on in the study, looking extremely important this morning. What? Have you decided to sell your shares? What's going on?
Yes, speaking of shares, myself and Simpiwe have spoken and we've decided that in the spirit of radio and podcasting and just connecting with people, for every 5 minutes that anybody is late for the show, that is 100 Rand owed to whoever arrives on time. So I'm going to put that in writing. I'm going to send an email and send it to everyone so that you all know that if anybody arrives anytime past 6, that's $100 going towards my kids' school fees and to Simpiwe's petrol. So
if of course you and Simpiwe aren't the latest ones, because if you're later than
sure, it applies to all of us.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm
good luck.
Hopefully not from today, because I was 5 minutes late.
Well,
no, from tomorrow.
Well, I'm happy for this to be implemented. Let's go for it.
Good,
right?
Good. I think it's great. Yeah.
How was the weekend?
So relaxed. Indoors. I did nothing. I literally sat on my couch with my kids and I watched Shrek, the whole trilogy. I watched Batman, the trilogy. I watched so much. It was actually insane, but it was so good. I feel so refreshed. And you guys, how was it?
Good. Yeah, very good. Yours, Ass? What did you do?
I had my parents around to my new posse.
Oh, yes.
So, when your mom's coming to inspect, you've got to work hard to make everything look good.
Oh, boy. Oh, yeah.
So I did a lot of organizing. My butt is sore.
So what were you moving things around and tidying up so that she wouldn't think that you had become a slob in your new house?
Yes, needed
something
to
like
all
that.
be perfect.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I had them over, and that was good. Lost a few cats, found a few cats.
Okay.
But they're all here now.
Have you ended up with more or less than you had at the beginning?
I think it's about the same. Yeah. So we're all good. Yeah.
Very, very good. Oh, Ruth says she got targeted in ATM yesterday. Still getting over the shock of it. It happens so quickly when you least expect it.
What? Sorry, Ruth.
Damn. Listen, I haven't thought about that, but it's a thing. And again, it's one of those things that maybe guys don't think about as much as women do. Just because I suppose women are more targeted than men at ATMs. But then somebody says later on, I'm sorry to hear about that. It's Corona's boring. You should try to use the ones inside the store, which is good advice, right?
Yeah, that is good advice. Feel very vulnerable at those sort of strip malls or on, near street corners. It's not great. So try inside. And there's usually a security guard per banking area, per bank that comes and stands by the ATMs.
Sure. Well, I mean, she escaped unhurt, and she's pleased about that. But I mean, listen, this is also the reality. You've got to be super observant. We can't take anything for granted. You can't be too relaxed in any of these places these days.
Actually, it's weird. Now I've just remembered something. But about 2 weeks ago, I went to one of these strip malls to draw money. But it was at about 7:30 in the morning. So the shops weren't open yet. Shops weren't open yet, and I pulled up my car right outside. There were security guards, so that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And a woman pulled up next to me, and she left her car running while she went to draw money.
Jesus,
like right next to me. I was like, "What? Where do you think you are, sweetie?"
Was she like in a rush, or was this like she just casually like maybe forgot? Or
No, I think she was either in a rush, or she might have, when your car batteries run low, someone's
Oh,
like cable started your car,
Oh,
and
wow.
you've got
So
to keep it
okay.
running.
yeah. Maybe she was worried that that can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have
Yeah.
taken it for all I know.
Yeah.
But like, let somebody know. Be like, hey,
Well,
person next to me, please just
Yeah, I
sort of
mean, I
sit
was
here and
right there. She could have asked
watch my
me.
running car,
yeah,
Yeah,
you know what? You point out a good thing there. Like there are really nice people around too, just like there are crooks and thieves, right? And some of those nice people will do you a favor. Like I'll just guard your car while you go and do this thing. You
Mm,
can ask, and probably 9 out of every 10 people say, "Sure, I'll do it for you." There'll be
mm,
like
well,
one
9
person
out
who'll
of
say
10
no.
people are nice. 1 out of 10 is a
Hmm.
criminal.
Yeah, I think
mm.
that's about right. That's probably the ratio. We've done our research, right? We've got all the files to prove it. That's the
Yeah,
exact number.
The
that's what I
receipts.
did on the weekend. Walked the streets asking everyone if they were criminals.
All right, a couple of things to talk about here. We did already mention a couple of weeks ago. I spoke about my nephew losing a tooth and the tooth fairy, but Lebang's just had that situation with her son. And you are at the stage where you need to now tell him there isn't one.
Yeah, I'm just tired of the lies. I'm just like, because then I have to remember exactly what I said. And then it's like, damn, if I say the wrong thing. And the worst part is that the actual cash that I put under his pillow is cash that he had given me the day before, that he had gotten
Oh,
from school. So he's like, oh, mom, here's a 50 rand. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll put it in your little stash. And then
yeah.
he's like, I can't wait to see what the tooth fairy gives me tomorrow. I'm like, dude, I'm so excited for you. And the next morning was that exact same note. So his face wasn't like, oh, joy. The tooth, it
Uh,
was like, come on, come on,
yeah.
Leigh. Like, just respect me. I'm an adult in
Yeah.
a child's body. I'm ready to hear the truth. So I just kind of went with it. But I think at some point I'm just gonna like sit him down soon before he turns
How
8
old
and
is
just
he
be
now?
like,
Oh,
he's turning
8.
8 in April next month.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna be like, Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, all of that stuff. And I don't want to take the joy away from him. I mean, he's a kid, his imagination still needs to run around, but there's certain things I just can't
Can't
cope
you?
anymore.
You can't make it last until like 10, maybe. Because I mean, 8 is still. I feel like 8. You can, even if he's caught on and he knows that some of it is made up, and
Mm,
I think you've got to
I
you got
don't
to let
know.
it last a little bit longer.
You know what I worry about, Gareth, is that he's a kid, so he won't understand the difference between, oh, mom is just sort of like fibbing to protect me, and mom is straight up lying to my face. And I don't want him to sort of misunderstand that in any way, to such an extent where if I do push it, then something comes up and he goes, yeah, well, you made this up, so why can't I make stuff up? Like, he's very, very smart. I've got an insanely smart kid, and I think he'll be able to deal with the realities and the fact that these things don't exist. I just worry about how he'll treat the other kids at school who maybe won't be able to deal with those realities, who'll come home excited and say, oh, the tooth fairy this, and he'll be like, my mom says the tooth fairy doesn't exist. That's what I'm worried about.
Oh yeah.
So I'm
So
I'm still testing the waters,
I'll
but
tell you what not. I'll tell you what not to do. I remember when my parents asked me. I'm 9 years older than my sister, and she was the littlest, and she was in the car with us on the way somewhere for an Easter holiday. And my mom said to me, because we were going on holiday, we weren't going to have the whole Easter egg hunt and everything else. Easter bunny wasn't going to come. So she whispers to me in the car, like, I think it's time we broke it to your sister that there's no Easter bunny. Well, it took me all of 2 seconds to say, hey, Sands, you know what? I just saw some roadkill just a couple of meters back, and I think it was the Easter bunny. I think we some big truck must have driven over the Easter bunny, because it's just guts. And she cried for, I don't know, the next 10 kilometers.
You brat.
yo, that's heartless.
But it did solve the problem. Look, don't do that, but it did solve the problem. I'm
But
just
it's
saying.
also, I mean, things are so different now. So, I mean, firstly, I used to get 1 or 2 rand under my pillow for teeth, not 50.
Yeah, but
Secondly,
that was because it was the
aren't other
1700s.
kids,
I mean,
The game has
yes,
changed.
aren't aren't other kids like Googling whether Father Christmas is real? Aren't they hearing
I'm
it from
sure.
their friends?
I'm sure.
And then the third thing is, I felt horribly lied to. Um, I didn't like that I was the only one in the house who didn't know that there wasn't Father Christmas. I felt betrayed.
Exactly.
Well, is Father Christmas real? Has been Googled, according to this, 2 billion, 10 million times.
These poor kids.
That's how
So
many children's hearts have been
that's a-
broken.
That's a lot of kids. And the answer it comes up with, because you can ask, is Father Christmas real? Or you can ask, which a lot of kids have asked, is Father Christmas real? Yes or no? They don't want to know the whole thing. Because if you ask, is Father Christmas real? It goes, Nicholas, the real Santa Claus. The legend of Santa Claus can be traced back hundreds of years to a monk named Saint Nicholas. Blah, blah, blah. But if you ask the, is Father Christmas real? Yes or no? It goes, so is Santa Claus real?
They don't want to know anything else.
Santa Claus is real, of course.
Whoa.
The New York Sun even reported it back in 1897. But the current Santa Claus isn't from the North Pole. So, I mean, this is going to confuse them even more. Google doesn't always help.
Yeah.
It doesn't always help.
It doesn't.
This is true.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. We must keep it in our own hands. Yeah.
Good luck.
Thanks.
I mean, you're going to have to take this in hand now and deal with it. And you'll have to let us know whether it works out well or not. Because there will be a certain amount of misery and unhappiness that you have to spread in order to get this to work properly. But all right.
It is what it is. Rather me. Yeah, he'll hear it from me instead of the streets, so it's safer.
Robin says, when you're the oldest child, you have to make executive decisions. So we mostly get it right. I don't know. I was not popular after making that decision.
I'd wake up on Easter morning, and I'd probably eat all my Easter eggs by about 9 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then my brother would hoard his, but for about a year. You know, go into his bedroom, and the chocolate had started turning white. They were so old. So I hatched a plan, and I said to him, I used to go, cats killing each other. I used to go into his room after I'd eaten all of mine and say to him, you know, that Jesus said that you must share. And then I'd have his as well.
Yo, you guys sound like great siblings, hey? Sure.
Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome.
Oh, Lord.
All right, so there are a few other things on the agenda for this morning. We've got to talk about this is some more research. You know, I said the CliffCentral research department has been up all night figuring out the statistics around how many people you can trust and how many are wicked and are going to steal your things. But the research department and our research department director general, Leigh-Ann has found out about some correlations between staying up, messiness, and swearing, and what those things seem to indicate. Now, this is really interesting because I do all of those things. I stay up. I'm not messy. I like tidying up messiness, but I mean, there's a relationship. And I swear a lot, which is not good. I'm told all the time. So what does it mean? Does it mean I'm going straight to hell? Is that what you've discovered?
Well, if you want the yes, no, like asking if Santa's real question, the answer is there are signs of major intelligence.
Oh, thank God.
The first time in history
I'm going to hell.
of forever, moms were actually wrong because we've all been told to clean our rooms, not swearing, being forced to go to bed at 8 or 9, paying money into that swear jar. Collectively, we were told.
Okay, so I've got 2 out
bad.
of 3. I don't have all 3, but the messiness is not a very me thing.
Yeah. No, I can be messy. I have my moments.
You, Lebang?
I mean, well, by default, I'm definitely messy. It's just, I mean, with like little rascals running around everywhere, I try my best not to. I teach them not to, but I know that it's over for me. It's definitely over for me. I mean, I grew up being told cleanliness is next to godliness, and that's the way of life, and that's the way we need to do it. So I tried, but I think after making my bed, that's it for the day. Anything else that you see around, walk over it, walk around it, walk through it. It's between you and that item. I've done my part. So I'm out.
No, I can't handle it. I can't handle a mess. But okay, so we're meant to be intelligent. If you are messy, you swear and you stay up late.
Researchers, not our department, it was a different department. They found that people who work at a messy desk generate more interesting and creative ideas and willingness to break out of unconventional norms.
Okay.
Night owls are scientific tests have proven that they've got the kind of smarts that lead to prestigious job titles and higher incomes. So yeah, and swearing is just a good way of expressing yourself creatively, if you want to look at it that way.
Sure.
So next time someone says to you clean up or whatever, just remind them politely that the Doritos bag that's on your desk is necessary for creativity.
Genius alert.
But there's a difference between like messiness and grubbiness. Some people are grubby. They're a bit dirty and disgusting.
It's tidy and then there's filth.
Yeah. So if you have food lying around, probably not a good thing.
Yeah. No.
I think that's fair to say, right? Anyway, so Steve is saying I tick all three of those boxes, but he couldn't spell boxes, so he said bows. So you're not as smart as you think, Steve. Ethan says, I love swearing, and then he goes, fuck puss. So, clearly, highly intelligent. So, all right, lots of that going on. There's so many movies that have come out in the last while that I couldn't care less about seeing, and there's another one that's on the agenda now. I don't know if you know about this, but there's a sequel to I Am Legend coming out now too.
Oh yeah.
And I know some movies don't need a sequel. I Am Legend was amazing. Remember about those zombies and the Will Smith is trying to fight them off. He's got his dog. Oh God, when the dog died, I was beside myself. And now they're going to make a sequel to that. I don't watch
movies like that. Oh, it was so sad.
It was the saddest movie, and I mean, at the end of it, doesn't he manages to escape? Right? I can't remember how it ends. I just remember that scene in the bottom of that laboratory of his, where those zombies are trying to kill him.
I know that he has to kill the dog because the dog ultimately becomes, or it's almost about to become one of the zombies, and he's left alone. Is the point? He was always alone, and now he's still alone. But it was such a well put together movie from A to Z. It was a mix of emotions. We cried, we laughed, we became one with the character. There's no need for us to come back and resurrect something that is done. I feel like the time for I Am Legend is behind us, and having another sequel is just like a desperate, I don't know what. And I don't know why Hollywood is doing this, because there's this trend now where they're finding really, really good things and just bringing them back, but making them worse.
They're screwing them up. But this is money.
Really are. Yeah. It's lame. There's no need.
Yeah, I think Bakabantu's right. He dies creating the cure. He was legend. Maybe. I mean, I don't remember how it ends, but how can they do a sequel if he dies?
Sequel. I Am Legend. Again.
What is this going to be called? I Was Legend? It's going to be, what is Afterlife? I mean,
I Still Legend.
If they're bringing Michael B. Jordan, then it could be some weird child thing where, maybe he had some kid, he just didn't know about it, or some weird, stupid, crass storyline like that.
Right.
That I won't be surprised if they throw at us, because what role would Michael B. Jordan possibly play if not the new Legend, or a remake of the?
But have they said that Will Smith is coming back?
Well, yeah, they said it's Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan, so it's both of them.
Boy.
Why?
Okay, I have no idea.
I'm Legend's child.
Oh, yeah. Steve says, I Am Legend, the booster shot. Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know whether it's just desperate because they've run out of ideas. I mean, it could just be that, someone, again, this is something I've said before on the show. A friend of mine who plays the guitar once said, all the good songs have been written. And it pissed me off when I heard that. I didn't like hearing it at all. I was like, that's not true. I've heard lots of good songs. He said, there are only 8 keys on the keyboard, there are only 8 notes. You can only combine them in so many ways with the sharps and the flats. So there's a ceiling to the number of songs that can be written. Now, maybe there's a ceiling to the kind of movies that we can do. Maybe from here on, it's just versions of the same things.
it's just remixes. I mean, it's everybody's. It's your take on what you ultimately want it to be. But sure, there's nothing new under the sun. There's like a certain cap with regards to what you can or can't produce, but how you twist it, I think, is where the creativity really comes in. So let's just hope that they don't botch this. Please, can they not botch this for us? I beg them. Like, I know they're listening. Please don't botch this for us. Thank you. Gosh.
Right. Okay. We'll take that straight to the studio. I'll make sure that they get a copy of the recording.
Can the research team also just make sure it gets upstairs? Thank you.
Yeah, I did. I didn't watch a single bit of news this weekend. I don't know what's happening with Russia and Ukraine at the moment. I don't want to know, frankly. I'm just thinking that at this point, I hope that there are no military options on the table. I know that that's what a lot of people are aiming for here, but I just think war in the 21st century is something that will move so fast and escalate so quickly. And there'll be a lot of decisions made by machines. And before we know it, we're in big, big trouble. I would prefer if we didn't have to get our hands dirty. I say we, I mean the human race, and actually fight with each other over this. I hope that whatever we can do, it is some sort of solution that leads to Vladimir Putin being taken out by his own inner circle. There are many people in Russia who are also against this whole thing. Not a majority.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is that's what I that's the bit of news that I got this weekend. Were from people who live in Moscow, who are trying to reach out, but they don't. All social media has been banned.
Well, yeah, they also get get chased away by the police. I mean, you don't express an opinion Vlad doesn't like.
They're not allowed to mention the word war. They've tried to organize protests, but obviously any protest has to be cleared by government, so they're not allowing any protest action. So they just feel really stifled at the moment. And I was thinking, there are times that we've been embarrassed by our government and our presidents, and they probably feel that way too, and they can't do anything about it. People are just lumping them all together and thinking that all Russians must have the same mentality as their leader. But it's not like that at all.
Well, let's see what happens. But as I said, I didn't watch the news. The one thing I did hear about over the news was one thing over the weekend, rather, that was in the news was Shane Warne, who's dead. Now,
yeah,
I wasn't really ever the world's biggest cricket fan, but even if you weren't, you knew who Shane Warne was. Shane Warne, famous Australian spinner, had a really cheeky reputation. For a long while. I remember the thing I knew about him was that he was dating, or he was even married to Elizabeth Hurley for a little while. Remember?
That's right.
But he was well known, probably the last real Australian, in my opinion, because when Shane Warne died over the weekend, to me, he was the last proper Australian. He used to drink a lot, used to party hard, did a lot of drugs, had a lot of hookers around. He was a proper Australian, and I just feel like there aren't any left now. I mean, I did put up a beautiful tribute. I don't know if you guys saw it. There was a beautiful, beautiful tribute by someone who obviously knew Shane Warne, and I'll read it to you because it's deeply moving. And I thought, you know what, this is absolutely lovely. How terrific that someone would take the time on a sad day like that to. This is on Saturday. Someone called Deb, who's in Australia, said, "My ex-sister-in-law shagged him when he was at Accrington Cricket Club, very early 90s, sold her story to the Nationals and bought a washing machine."
Oh, what a touching tribute.
Isn't that beautiful? That really made me cry. I mean, of all the things that you could say about an Australian when they die, I think that's the most moving. So
he probably would have loved that.
He would have absolutely loved that. So Deb, thanks for sharing something so intimate and personal with all the rest of us. It's great. Yeah. Anyway, I you know what? It's very, very sad when famous people go, because we all think we know them, and then we get very kind of touched about this. I can't admit that I felt particularly deprived of something when Shane Warne hopped the perch over the weekend, but I'm sure there's some South African cricket fans who are very, very upset about it, because he was also, for a while, he was our nemesis, right? I mean, he was like the Australian bowler who used to take us out. And And he was there during those glory days when people still watched cricket.
I mean, there are a lot of kids who grew up watching him, and he's their cricket icon. You know, he embodies everything cricket to them. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, rest in peace, Shane Warne. Let's take a look at some headlines quickly and get into a couple of the big stories that everyone is talking about today. First of all, the Footballers Association wants spectators to be allowed back into the stadia. Now, obviously, this is something we should have asked for a long time, but here in South Africa, for some reason, we're still in a state of disaster, even though other countries have opened up and everything's going back to normal. Hundreds of football fans and the EFF joined in a protest in Soweto on Saturday, just before the Soweto derby between Pirates and Chiefs, to push the reopening of the stadia all across the country. Despite lifting COVID-19 restrictions, government is still not allowing spectators into sports matches. NASFA, that's the National Footballers Association of South Africa, they said it's been 19 months since supporters were seen in the stadiums, and they want it to be time now for them to reopen. So
they can come.
I mean, they must come.
Yeah.
I'm in favor. Are you in favor?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's something very very, what's the word, about being in the stadium. I mean, you've probably been in a couple of matches yourself. There's something about being there, the energy and the vibe. It's cool. I think let people have that. I mean, in such a sad time where everybody's all depressed and going through so much, if really your little bit of pleasure is just being at a soccer game with your boys or whatever, do it. And this whole thing of masks as well, I feel like I heard something about masks being it's time. It's over. COVID left the building a while ago.
Just stop. And let's stop with the testing, and above all, let's stop with the airplane. I've got to fly to Mexico next Wednesday. Not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. And we got to do a test before, we got to do a test afterwards, or when we get there, then we've got to do another test on the way back. And for what? You're in a plane, which is probably the safest place to be, probably because they recycle that air more than anywhere else. So why are we doing this? Let's get over it.
Let's keep it moving.
Let's see if I can get them to drop that just before I fly. That would be good. Don't you think?
If you make enough noise, they might. Yeah. They're listening.
Yeah, sure. All right. This is interesting. Shell has defended a difficult decision to buy Russian crude oil. Shell, the oil petroleum company, have said they're going to have to defend their decision to purchase Russian crude oil. They said the decision to purchase it at a discount price was complicated, confirmed that it had bought a cargo of Russian crude oil on Friday, had no alternative. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba hit out at the energy company, asking on Twitter, "Doesn't Russian oil smell like Ukrainian blood for you?" Wow. So far, Western countries have not imposed sanctions on Russian oil imports, fearing it will drive up already record high energy prices around the world. But on Sunday, the US Secretary of State said that the US was now in active discussions with Europeans about banning them, while also maintaining a steady global supply. Well, you idiots in America, Joe Biden's administration, if you had just kept your oil pipelines going, and if you'd made America, or kept America, energy independent, which it was about 2.5 years ago, then you wouldn't be sitting with this problem. But no, you keep on talking about sustainable wind energy, solar energy. It's not going to replace the fact that we need petrol and oil. Most of us do not drive electric cars. Most of us do not have solar vehicles or hydrogen-powered vehicles yet, because it's not the year 2073. So we need petrol. And if you can't provide it, someone else will. And if they can't provide it...
They seriously live in the movies, dude. I don't know if you've noticed, but Americans really feel I think they think that life is a movie. The way they behave. It's just unreal. Come back to earth, guys.
Well, we mentioned Shane Warne. Apparently, there's going to be a state funeral for him. Australia taking this very seriously. So they're going to give him a state funeral. He will be honored after his family accepted an offer from the premier of his home state. "I've spoken with the Warne family today again, and they've accepted my offer of a state funeral to remember Shane," the Victoria State Premier Daniel Andrews tweeted on Sunday. "It will be an opportunity for Victorians to pay tribute to his contribution for our state and our country." Anyway, he said the details will be finalized in the coming days. Warne is one of the great Test cricketers of all time. He was found unresponsive in his luxury villa at the Samujana Resort in Thailand on Friday evening after failing to meet friends.
Oh, man. Meaning he was still living his best life, clearly.
Sure.
Yeah,
Age
he was taken to the top.
52 is not old.
Mm-mm.
You know, especially for someone who was, I mean, he used to be a sportsman, so he probably wasn't in the worst shape. They're probably, you know, for every 10 Australians, he's probably still the 1 out of 10 who's in reasonable shape, right?
Yeah, who can still get it.
Right. I think so. That's about right. Anyway, so the jokes are coming in. Somebody says the Ashes are going back to Australia. Oh, ha, 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 ha. Very
That's
good.
pretty good. That's good.
Yeah. And then Carl asks, the EFF love a protest. Hey, they'll fucking join any protest. Yeah, I mean, even the football stadium protest, I mean, they really are just desperate for some attention at this stage. I think the EFF will glom on to any other protest that's going on just so that they can get some of the shine. That's what they're up to, almost all the time. And then somebody says, let's reject all Russian wheat and let people starve to death over this conflict. Well, you see, we do. Ukraine also supplies quite a lot of wheat, actually. TP says, your Australian voice is such a turn on.
Ooh, so early in the morning.
Yeah. Lucky you to have that. Okay, very good. And if you think Russia will crash, you're pretty naive, says Marty. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. And obviously, you know, there's a lot that's going on at the moment that's reputational. And we discussed a bit of this last week. But I think you've got to hit Vlad where it hurts. And hitting him where it hurts is to do with his reputation. Where did you disappear to, Leigh-Ann Mole?
Oh, I had a rookie error with my laptop battery. And then I had a bowel emergency. So
Oh my God. What do you mean?
Yikes.
Now you have to tell us.
I had to use the restroom, Gareth.
Like
Hello?
she was being quite polite.
I'm not
literally.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I mean, people want to know. You know,
Do they know?
No, they don't.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into that. We do have Dr. Hanan joining us in a short while, and we've got something interesting to talk to him about this morning because Lebang, this is something you wanted to talk about, and obviously it's something quite. This is not a fun, silly topic. This is something very, very serious that we'll get into in a moment. And also, if you have an issue that you want resolved, and I keep saying this because really, where else are you going to get free therapy? You know, we get Dr. Hanan on. He is probably one of the most in-demand psychologists in Johannesburg. There are lots and lots of people who are lining up to go to him. He's pretty much full up all day, every day. And we get you to consult with him for free on a Monday. So if
it's pretty expensive, and I should know. But,
there we go.
You know, we always joke with our family psychologist saying that because of our family, she gets to go on amazing holidays every year.
Yeah. Right, exactly. So if you do have an issue you want to discuss, even if you want to come on anonymously, you've seen we've done that with people before where we don't have the camera on and we give you another name. Nobody's going to know it's you. And you can tell us your story, and then Dr. Hanan can give you some proper, serious advice. And if you'd like to do that, just email us, contact@cliffcentral.com, and we will put you in contact with Dr. Hanan Bushkin. Also have Collectomania coming up a bit later on. And we've got a returning champion in Collectomania today because you may remember Penny Stein showed us all those photographs of her with all these famous people over the years because she used to arrange all the PR and she'd look after all these big stars from all over the world when they came to South Africa. She had pictures of her with Lionel Richie and Tina Turner and all these amazing people from years and years of running kind of all the PR for big concerts and for Sun City and all of that stuff. So we'll find out from Penny today about a different collection that she has because she's got, I mean, this one's going to blow your mind. I'm not going to spoil it now by telling you, but if you've also got a collection that you want to share with us, contact@cliffcentral.com and we will be sure to get back to you. Let's welcome now Dr. Hanan. It's time for It's Gonna Be Okay. Hey, Doc, how are you?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. How was your weekend?
very good, actually. Not bad at all. It was. I don't know if it's even worth bringing up, but we haven't had enough summer this summer. It feels like, there are a couple of days that we've had that are nice and sunny and enjoyable, but we've had so much bloody rain that it doesn't really feel to me like we've actually had summer.
Mm.
So I'm feeling a little. I'm just a spoiled brat. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit cheated that we didn't have a full summer. Anyway, we'll get into that another day. Right now, we've got to talk about an issue that Lebang wants to bring up with you, Doc. And Lebang doesn't normally join us on a Monday, but she is today. So we thought, well, perfect. We'll get you two talking. So Lebang, do you want to just talk about some of the things that are going on in your head and what you need to unpack this morning?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Doc.
Hey,
How are
Lebang.
you?
Wonderful.
So it's been like a really weird couple of weeks, I guess, not just like for myself, but for a lot of South Africans that are like music lovers, especially in the hip hop space. There's been a lot of loss and a lot of like death. It's almost like there's a dark cloud that's just like roaming around some of our favorite, I guess, like artists. Like 3 weeks ago, DJ City Lights was like gunned down in cold blood. Last week, Ricky Rick, unfortunately, lost his life. And then just yesterday, DJ Dimples also passed on. So like, it's almost like there's this back to back of like young people that we're just losing. And as Gareth said earlier, it's like, we feel like we know these people more because they're celebrities and because we've watched them and blah, blah, blah. And they're so close to us in all the stuff they share on social media, etc. But I guess getting used to death is something that is just, how do you deal with that? But also seeing the younger and younger people lose their lives is the more difficult part, because in as much as, people die all the time. Sure, death is a real part of life. We have to deal with that. Right now, what I'm seeing is that people are sort of using social media as a place to sort of share this sad news. Obviously, like you find out, oh no, somebody that you feel like you've known or you do know has passed on, and you just run to Twitter or you run to Instagram to post a picture or whatever the case is before the family's even made an announcement. And it's sort of showing a really ugly side to society where others are like, oh no, you should have, waited for the family to say something, or, whatever the case is. I guess I'm just caught up in a place of the use of social media with regards to the sad news. And for example, are we using it right? Should we be waiting for the family? Or if I'm very close to these people that are passing on, am I allowed to just go on there and express myself because I'm hurting, and I'm just coming off of the back of losing another friend, and I'm losing another friend, and should I be ostracized because I'm using social media as my platform? So it's a very layered thing. But the bigger thing, Doc, is that there's a lot going on right now. And on top of depression and on top of people having all these problems, it's almost as though these situations are turning us all into these, unfortunately, really ugly people, and the ugly sides of us are coming out. So I don't know, like, from your experience, if there's a way that we can just sort of like massfully, give everybody some sort of like help, because we all kind of need help. Everybody's kind of down right now. We're losing a lot of our age group.
It does feel like there are a lot of people I mean, we can even go back a couple other weeks. There's Cooley Roberts who went, and we've lost a lot of very famous South Africans, as you say, in the hip hop space, but general celebrities. And I think it feels to a lot of people like, this, and this, a lot of it's suicide, hey? A lot of it's suicide, which is obviously even more difficult to deal with. So where do we even start, Doc?
Yeah, there's so much to unpack. Sure, this could be like a 7-hour workshop. Mental health is a real deal, and especially in the last 2 years, at least from what I've seen in my practice, mental health has become the new kid on the block, at least the one that is appropriate to talk about, and it's much easier for people to bring it up as a topic of conversation. We've seen loss left, right, and center, and it's publicized and it's on social media all the time. But the thing with grief and death is that we can't become used to it. there's not such thing as reading about, this is how death works and this is how grief works, and suddenly when you lose someone, you get it. It doesn't work that way. It's not like building a Lego. It's not like, just put these 3 pieces together and you've got a Lego piece. It's much more complex and robust, and something that the brain can't really comprehend. Because think about it, the subconscious mind, your brain, the hidden part of the brain is designed to make sure that you survive. It's not designed for death, for the end of it. So it's really designed to ensure that you survive on all levels. On a physical level, if I had to throw something at your face, you'd lift up your hands to protect yourself. If you had to walk and you're about to trip, you put your hands to protect yourself. On an emotional level, if a kid gets bullied at school, the kid might start developing depression or anxiety. People go, well, how can depression and anxiety help the kid? Well, it's very, very functional, because now the kid starts to withdraw and pull back and not want to go to school and have a tummy ache before school, which helps the kid survive. So the brain is really designed to ensure your survival, and suddenly we experience the death of someone, or even as we grow older, our own potential death, and the brain doesn't want to compute that, can't compute that. So death and grief is one of those things that the deeper we dive, the more we get lost in it. And even people that are super religious, really that anchor themselves with religion, where religion is a fabulous way of kind of making sense of it all. Even super religious people, when they lose someone, it's still very difficult. So I guess my first point to you is, grief is one of those things that you have to walk through and make sense as you kind of, you build the plane while it's in the air. You figure it out. But to the other point that I want to raise is, people have amazing amount of opinions. People were experts on COVID about 6 months ago, and people are now experts in the geopolitical domain in Ukraine now, and people are experts with with the latest things that are coming up. And now the latest thing is, well, Rick's and death and suicide and mental health, and people go on social media stating their opinions on what other people should do in times of grief. And I think that is mind-blowing to me. That is absolutely mind-blowing to me. And the reason why it's mind-blowing to me, I put up a post like the other day on social media saying, just because you've had a mental health issue, depression, anxiety, borderline, or personality disorder, it doesn't mean you're an expert in the treatment of it. So just be careful that when you put your stuff up there, that you're not stigmatizing it even further. And I had some comment from somebody saying, well, because I put up a post saying, just why do you put your stuff up if you don't know what it's doing and how the domino pieces are falling, whether you stigmatize it anymore? And I had a response saying, well, I'm putting up my stuff because I can, and it might help someone. And I'm like, oh my God, that is the kind of nonsense that, first of all, drives me crazy. And second of all, that stigmatizes the mental health issue even further. Because just because you can doesn't really mean you should. I mean, or just because you've experienced it doesn't mean you have the treatment for it. I've had root canal treatment. Please believe me, I will not attempt it just because I can. People have had all different things done to them, and they've experienced many different things, doesn't mean that they can treat it. And to go up on social media and proclaim to be an expert really in anything just because you've had it is doing a lot more damage than good. I don't have an issue people going on social media and going, this is my experience, full stop, but not this is my experience, how you should treat it. Do you really know what the mechanics are of depression? Do you really know what the causes are? Do you really know what the structures are? What is depression? When I say to people, what is depression? What is grief? People give me the Google answer. Well, depression is a feeling of low, or the feeling of sadness, the feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. And it's all fine and well, but do you really know where it's coming from? What is it? Is it a marriage thing? Is it a sense of purpose thing? Is it a financial security thing? Is it a lack of acceptance thing? A lack of sense of belonging thing? What is it? And then people are like, oh, I don't know, just a low. I'm sorry. If you don't know, then don't say. You're actually doing a lot more damage if you pretend to be an expert when you actually don't know where it's coming from and how to treat it. So, Lebang, to your point, social media is a cesspool of opinions and experts. And I say just be very careful of what you put out there, and certainly be very careful of what you consume and what you read. Lean on the experts. If you got a toothache, you go to the dentist, you don't go to your florist, period. If you got, it's just as simple as that. And if you've got a condition, you go to the expert that will give you the answer and unpack that for you.
Yeah, and I think, look, Doc, let's give people online a little bit of a break here, because a lot of them are just they're hoping for answers, and they're just reaching out and they're trying to connect with other people because they don't actually know what to do. And if you're feeling hopeless and you're feeling helpless, that's what humans do. They reach out, and sometimes the best way for people to do that is through social media. It doesn't always work out well, and a lot of it is complete nonsense, as you rightly point out. I'm glad you said that. But it is just because they're desperate to find answers, right?
Yes, but Gareth, the thing is that, again, if you had a toothache, would you go on social media and go, well, how do I extract this tooth? I mean,
some idiots do, though. I mean,
some people really do.
Sure.
Like, if I take the pliers like this,
exactly,
because they're idiots.
Exactly.
I mean,
we're not
going to be able to stop them from doing that. The other thing Lebang hints at here is, like, there is a process for grief, right? And maybe because it's something you probably talk about all the time, Doc, and we're all going to have to deal with grief at some point in our lives. Nobody escapes grief. Nobody. So there is a process that you go through. For some people, it takes much longer. For some people, it's a short process. You mentioned, like, religious people, it helps them to deal with it. They've got a much more I suppose, integrated way of dealing with it because they have a belief system around it too. But how does that process work? And how do you know when you've started to heal? You'll never completely forget someone. You'll never completely get over grief, but you do learn to deal with it, right?
For sure. So let me mention a couple of things. First of all, grief, the definition of grief is being in a place and wish you were somewhere else. So when you lose somebody, of course, you're in a new world and you wish you were in the old world. So that person represented something to you, and that person is no longer there. Mm-hmm. There is a process of grief and filling up that hole. And the filling up hole takes time. Some people do it in a minute. Some people do it in a year. Some people never actually get there. And the process of grief is, first we go into shock, then denial, then bargaining. Bargaining means, only if I'd done this, then this would have happened. Anger, guilt, depression, and acceptance. And the unfortunate thing is we call it stages of grief, and which is not true, because we don't actually go through these stages and finally reach acceptance. It's actually more phases, and we enter into phase 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 1, 2, 5, 7 randomly, and that can happen in a minute. So I can go from acceptance to denial to bargaining to depression to acceptance in a minute. But what happens, though, is you start integrating it into your being, you start finding yourself more in the acceptance phase for much longer. So the period between jumping from one phase to another is much less frequent. But all of that happens only if you marry and immerse yourself in the world that you're in. Mm-hmm. All of that happens if you marry and immerse yourself in the world that you're in. So, for example, if we go through a loss and you cover your head with a duvet and never get out of the house and never engage your world, you'll never heal. It's impossible, because once you undo the duvet and suddenly you engage in the world, then that's when the healing begins again. So it doesn't matter that people say time heals everything. It's not time. It's really what you do with that time. So the trick is really to immerse yourself in the current world that you're in, and your brain is the most adjusted, or the most incredible supercomputer that can adjust to pretty much anything, will find a way to make sense of your new world. But your rule is only if you immerse yourself 100% in it. So again, I would ask people, and it's a very difficult question when they go through a loss, like, well, what would you do if you hadn't lost this person? And they would go, well, I would go to work. And my answer is, well, then go to work. Well, I would still engage with my friends. Well, go and engage with your friends. Well, I would do X, Y, and Z. Well, that's what you should do. You should do exactly what you would do if it was a normal scenario. And people go, but that feels horrible. That feels horrible. And I'm like, absolutely, it feels horrible. But the misconception is you feel, then you do, which is not true. You got to do, and the feelings always follow. You got to do, and the feelings always follow. So an analogy for that, think about bungee jumping. If you ever tried bungee jumping before, imagine you're at the top of the ledge, and you say to yourself, let me just feel in control and then jump. Let me just feel in control and then jump. You know what would happen? You'd never jump. You'd never jump. What you have to do is you have to jump. Behavior first. You have to jump. And the first time you jump, the next time you go up there, you might even feel worse. But now you jump again, and you might even feel worse. And now you jump again, you might even feel worse. Now you jump again, you feel worse, but now jump 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 times. Now you feel in control. So people make two mistakes. One, they go, let me feel then do, which is wrong. And second mistake and misconception is people do and they feel worse and they go, well, obviously the doing doesn't work. It's not true. If you just keep on doing, your feelings will always follow. So act as though your new world was real.
And also, just one last thing, because Lebang hinted at this. These people who feel the need to share information or a picture of someone who's died straight away, and they're not even sure if the family knows yet. I mean, this can be very, very hurtful. And I saw a comment that was made just now. Sharon says, when my husband passed away, someone in the family posted on Facebook that he had died. I felt so angry. I felt she had no right to do that and asked her to take it down, expressing my feelings. So you got to also let the family go first, right?
Yeah, sure. But that's why I say, just be careful when you post anything up, because the truth is most of the people that post things up, they're posting it for their own needs, for their own sense of self and what they need, what me, as opposed to what is a domino effect and how does it affect other people. Please be very, very considerate in terms of what you put up, and also on the other side, what you consume.
Very, very good. All right, Doc, thank you very much. Dr. Hanan Bushkin, I hope that helps. Lebang, and you're not the only one, obviously, who's feeling that.
Yeah.
These people are your actual friends, though. I mean, you've known some of these people personally. That's probably why it hits a bit harder. But I mean, all of us feel, as I said earlier, that we know them. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Doc. We'll see you in a week. Very good.
Cheers, Doc.
Dr. Hanan Bushkin. We've got Lebang Hosanna, we've got Leigh-Ann Mole, and you sticking around with us, hopefully, for the next hour, too. We've got Collectomania and a bunch of other cool stuff coming. It is Monday. Good morning.
Up next in the Auto Trader podcast.
And pricing now, for me, is my biggest issue with new cars. Is like everything's basically priced the same, but in terms of the value that you get, I'm not sure if it's the same.
Well, I mean, look at the Haval Jolia.
Yeah,
right.
That's like my favorite car to talk about now.
I've been seeing more and more of them on the road. It is a good-looking car.
It's a brilliant looking car.
It's a good-looking car. Yeah. Bash it for being, Chinese and not American or European. But at the end of the day, they've made a bloody good car. Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Do you suffer from collectivism?
I started collecting when I was about 8 years old.
Do you have an obsession with objects?
I sort of got into collecting TV cars.
Are you a fanatic? A devotee? Are you someone exhibiting enthusiasm or strong passion?
When lockdown hit, when everyone was kind of bored at home, they started Googling, like, what are these things worth these days?
CliffCentral dispenses a weekly dose of collectomania. Join me as I talk to compulsive collectors. Fascinating.
The frame's total value is probably about 12,000 Rand.
Possibly a little weird.
I developed this infatuation with the Statue of Liberty.
Collectomania, Mondays on the Gareth Cliff Show. Brought to you by SA Gold Coin Exchange and the Scoin Shop. Yeah, indeed. It is Monday morning, cliffcentral.com, and hopefully a start to the day that you were hoping for. And we've got a whole week of cool stuff for you this morning, starting off with Collectomania in just a short while from now. But I've also got some info on the latest episode of Leadership Books Unpacked. It's steadily becoming one of our most popular podcasts. These guys basically look at leadership books, and there are a ton of them, and you don't have the time to read all of them. So what they do is they give an executive summary. And there are some really, really cool books that are full of objective key results, studies, all that kind of thing. When it comes to making business decisions, these are the books that probably a lot of people are or should be reading. And the latest episode with Manda Tsifularo and Ngobile Ngobo, they talk about objectives, they talk about key results, they talk about making difficult business decisions, and they unpack the 4 superpowers, which are focus, align, track, and stretch, or FATS, as they call them in the trade, as well as their importance in advancing strong ideas through clarity, transparency, and accountability. The discussion is centered on a book by John Doerr called Measure What Matters, OKRs, the simple idea that drives 10x growth. So obviously that is something that a lot of people want to read when it comes to how to run your business. Leadership Books Unpacked, brought to you by Superlead. Find it wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and on cliffcentral.com. Lebang Hosanna is here with me, and Leigh-Ann Mole is, I think she's making tea. Or she's gone back to the loo for another toilet problem.
Yeah, she's probably just taken a walk to the ladies, and she'll be back when she's done.
All right. Well, we got lots of things to get into this morning, and not enough time for all of it. But I do think that it's probably an interesting thing to talk about. Because there's so many people who are looking at their work since COVID and thinking, I don't want to do this anymore, or they're sick of being treated badly by a boss or whatever. You've got a friend who has just recently left their business, their job, because they were unfairly dismissed. And you know, you hear about this all the time, but when it actually happens to someone you know and you hear the story, sometimes it's a horrendous story. There's some horrible people in business. Are they taking the boss to the CCMA?
Yeah, so I think sadly he's had to do that. And it's exactly what you're saying. You hear about these things all the time, like, oh no, whoever has taken his employer to the CCMA, and you're always like, oh shame, man, that's so sad. Until it actually like happens to somebody you're close to or somebody that you know. Yeah. And this person in particular is literally like, you've got like a list of maybe 4 people that you can count on. Like just 4, maybe even 2. He's on my list of people that I know that I can depend on. So for it to happen to him, I'm like, this is weird. But long story short, this company that he worked for, he's an accountant, and this company that he worked for basically just framed him and told the police that he had been stealing money from them because he's the accountant. And this is obviously a complete lie because, I mean, I know this guy spent a lot of time with him, but now they're in the CCMA and it's all just coming out that this is what they do. So they hire young Black professionals who they know aren't going to fight back, who they know are just going to sort of like sign the papers and just sort of like walk away and just. But he's like, nah, you guys messed with the wrong one. I'm going to fight. I'm going to take you guys to court, and that's kind of what's happening right now. The security guard at
so what
this
are
place,
they like looking for scapegoats so that they can just
basically they steal money from the company. And they just kind of pin it on the newest person, the newest accountant that comes in. So you come in, you work for about 6 months. They're so nice to you. They like, they keep you close. And then when it gets too hot, they tell you, look, dude, you've been stealing money from us. So you'd rather just sign the papers now and rather leave. And the security guard confirmed that he's probably the 4th or 5th young Black professional that they've done this to in the past, like, 6 years. They do it all the time. And in the past, what these people do is, you know, you're scared, you know, you're young, you have black tax, you're sending money home. You don't have the ability to take them to court and to fight. But my friend is like, nah, forget it. I'm taking you guys to the cleaners and all the dirt is going to come out. All of it.
Wow. Okay, it sounds like a good story. Listen, and we know, just before anyone tries to defend these accounting firms, because they say, oh, well, they're such good people. These accounting firms, we know how deep they were in on state capture, right? We know how many of them helped draw up the blueprint.
Yeah.
These auditing firms, these accounting firms, we know all about KPMG. That was very public. We also know about the involvement of some other ones. We also know about these, what do they call these firms that do all the what do they call them? Like advisory stuff, you know, where they come in and they kind of take over the business and consulting. They give you the strategy. They've got some people they place in there. A lot of those people are also dodgy as hell, right?
Yeah, no, it's pretty scary. Like, I think the scarier thing is that it's not even just the accounting firms, it's like normal firms. Because this place where he worked at, it's like SA Metal Group. It's just a litmus, like, random place that obviously has an accounting section. And they still manage to try and take him down within their little organization. So it's just annoying that my friend has to go through this because, like, he's just, as I'm saying, Gareth, he's on my list of...
But listen, I mean, if he's brave enough to take them on, I mean, I hope he wins. Let's see what happens.
No, he better. No, he has to. Like, you know, we're rooting for him.
A lot of these guys get away with these things just because people are too scared to take them on, or they worry that they don't have the resources. And maybe they don't have the resources, but you know, if you can fight them, you must.
Yeah,
unfair dismissal is something you shouldn't just take on the chin.
No, definitely.
Anyway, Leigh-Ann, we were busy debating why you disappeared again for a little while. Is there anything you want to tell us? And you're on mute.
And we can't hear you.
You're definitely witnessing me having a tummy bug. That's definitely what it is. So yeah. Oh, I feel terrible, guys. But I'm here.
What did
and
you
I'm
eat?
So what did you have last night?
No, it's not. It can't be anything because I actually didn't even have dinner. I think it must be a bug.
Well, Ethan says more kids to drop off.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they represent anything solid. That's for sure.
That's really good.
Oh my God! All right. Was there any kind of warning before this? Was there? Did you wake up this morning feeling a bit like queasy?
No, I don't feel queasy. I woke up this morning, had to run to the loo. Then I had to go again, and not just pee again.
Oh my God!
It's just far too much information, guys. Really. But yeah.
But we like that. All right. Anyway, we'll leave it alone for now. I know it's terribly embarrassing. All right. So we've got a couple of things on the agenda for this morning before we get to Collectomania. And we've also got a week full of really interesting shows for you. So stick around for all of those. Surprise, surprise, says Michael, me Ann's up Schitt's Creek. So Michael calls you me Ann, and he thinks that you deserve this problem, obviously, according to him. Anyway, I mean, there's an interesting story here. Listen to also from Michael. He says, I lost a job once because the boss's wife was a crazy bipolar woman and I crossed her on the wrong day. Going back to the Lebang story about her friend. Listen, you can, you say something to the wrong person on the wrong day, or you meet somebody in a corridor and they're in a temper and you ask them to sign something or to pop in and see you for a meeting or something, and they lose it and they start screaming and shouting. There is a lot of that. People are under pressure. There's a lot of that going on. And you choose the wrong day and you're out of there.
Yeah, that's why you've got to be so careful when you decide to have road rage or shout at someone in the traffic.
Sure.
You don't know what's going on.
You never know. Yeah. You don't know what you're dealing with.
Actually,
Carl says there is actually a bug going around. Got me last week. I weed out of my ass for 2 days straight. Good luck. Sure, that's nice.
Must be
Thank you. Yes, we actually so desperately wanted to envision that. Carl, thank you.
Oh gosh. Well,
boy.
I'm just glad I'm not in an office and I'm at home,
Yeah. It would be way worse. There's nothing worse than having that situation in the office. That is awful.
Yeah.
Gary says you're sounding like a GTI. Yeah. Michelle points out she thinks because it's all this over-the-top sanitizing and masking, immune systems are weak. Maybe that's part of it. Although I think a stomach bug is a very different thing. You're not going to be able to prevent that with a mask. Stomach bugs, isn't it usually? And I mean, there's a certain amount. Let's just be honest about this. There's a certain amount of dirt and filth you do need in your life. You know, we were talking earlier about being messy, but if everything around you is perfectly sanitized all the time, you do not develop an immune system. And that's not to say that you should drag all your food on the floor before you eat it. Obviously, there's a limit to what
box.
Right. There's a limit to what your body can handle. But there is also a certain amount of dirt around you that's probably not too bad. It's like it's part of what builds up your immune system and keeps you alive. You need to have that fine line. You need to walk that fine line between the two. And I think it's quite a good idea to have some things around you. Like if you notice that, I don't know, a coffee cup hasn't necessarily been cleaned perfectly every time. That is not something to get upset and hit up about. Right?
Yeah. And like if you catch your child eating handfuls of sand, maybe stop them on the second handful. Allow them the first.
Well, what do you do, Lebang? You're the mom. I mean, you know, kids are filthy, right?
I can't. Yeah, they're filthy, but like I can't deal. Like yesterday, my daughter had like what looked like a ball of snot mixed with a little bit of sand, mixed with a little bit of Lord knows what. I flicked it out of her hands as quickly as I could. I couldn't just sit there and be like, "Would you look at that? Put that in your mouth and swallow." Like I can't. Like I'm not gonna consciously do that, but I will admit, like if I'm at the sink and I'm pouring another cup and there's a little bit of something at the bottom, I'll just sort of like refill and continue. But for my kids, I don't know, like what I don't see, if it happens away from my eyes, let them go forth and be merry. But I'm not consciously gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, sand, yummy," Nah. Yeah.
Well, do you for example sterilize? I mean, I know with babies you have to sterilize things, right? You have to put them in that almost like a very low concentration of bleach, so that you can kill off all the bacteria and things. Yeah. Do you do that with anything? I mean, we had this conversation about towels the other day, and someone said that you actually got to boil your towels. You got to turn on the washing machine at like 90 degrees and put bleach in there. But I tried this, all right, because I take people on the show seriously. So someone who was listening to us put up a thing. My washing machine doesn't go to 90 degrees. It goes to 40. So I can't do a 90 degrees. Yeah.
Yeah, no, come on, Gareth. Firstly, I'm black, so I just go with God. Like I just roll with God. Everything is cool. My kids will be fine. I don't need to bleach jack shit. I don't need to know. Like we're cool. Just put sunlight, the green bar soap on everything, and we'll be nice. We set for life. No, I'm not interested in any of that stuff. First of all, who's got the time? Who's got the energy? Like these are kids, man. These are little living human things who ultimately are adjusting to being in the real world. So they'll have to figure it out. So if I protect them to the T, when I'm not there to protect them, they fucked. Surely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just go with it. Roll with the punches. Let them fall. Let them get sick. Let them do this and this and that. Man, no.
Well,
come on.
Steph wants to know, do sand pits still exist? Yes, kids love a sand pit. There's still sand pits. And those things are a haven for all kinds of bad things. Listen, I went on Instagram yesterday, and there's this channel I follow where they take ordinary things around the house and like food items or whatever, and they put them under the microscope. I shouldn't even be following this channel. It's so scary. They took honey, and I like honey, right? I put honey in my tea or coffee sometimes. I prefer that to sugar. And they took honey and they put a little tiny drop of honey under the microscope. And they show you these little things that are like swimming around in the honey, like with like 24 legs on them. And I'm like, I didn't want to see that. Now I don't know if I can handle honey ever again. I know it's stupid because I've been eating honey for years and I don't care about it. Now suddenly I care because this dumb channel. I'm unsubscribing from that today.
Yeah, you must.
They're ruining honey for us. They can't ruin everything for us. Come on. There's some things we don't need to know, man. Just let us have it. Ugh.
And then
just like
they showed these little white little things that live on an apple.
Yeah, they've done that sort of thing with strawberries before, and there was this whole TikTok trend of people soaking strawberries in like a little bit of bleach and water, and these white worms that crawl out of all the holes. And for a while, I was like, I can't do this.
So gross.
Can't eat a strawberry. And then I'm just like, yes, I've been eating them for years, and I've been fine.
Yeah, I'm an unsubscribe. I don't need that. I don't need them with their negativity in my life. Barrett says, I've seen so many people who've been so clean, didn't want to touch anything due to germs. And when they get sick, they have to be hospitalized because they've never allowed their body to experience germs. Absolutely. That's what Lebang's saying. Yeah, trust God on this one. Absolutely.
And the Sunlight Green Bar Soap. That's it.
That stuff will take care of anything.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's wild.
You know, good old bar of soap is still the best thing. And I mean, when I shower, I use ordinary old soap. That's what I don't use any of these fancy shower gels. I mean, I got shampoo in there and everything. But when I shower, it's soap. It's good shit. Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
I can't.
I have to use a pH balanced what. Otherwise.
Why? What's your story?
Women's issues. You know, sometimes women can be sensitive to soaps, normal soap.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So that you've got to use this pH balance stuff. Well, I like a bar of soap. It works for me. So I'm with Lebang on that.
I use a bar of soap, but it's shampoo for hair. That I love. Yeah.
So it's you have a bar for your hair?
Yeah, a little round bar, a zero bar. Rub that up. It lathers up really well. And
then you put that on your hair
for ages. And it's awesome. It smells amazing.
Well, this is I wash my hair with that green bar soap. I'm not embarrassed, says Patrick. See, there we go, Lebang. You started a whole thing. Now people are admitting they're getting it out of their system, telling the truth about the green bar soap. Yes,
come
go
clean,
ahead, people.
Come clean, everyone.
Literally and figuratively, come clean. Yeah. Yes, exactly. You would cut off your penis if you placed it under the microscope, says Tembisa. Probably.
You lot are just lovely for the imagination.
He says there are tiny bugs that live in our eyebrows. We should not be zooming in so much. Yuck.
Yeah. They're all over our skin, actually. They're actually little mites. They're called skin mites. They're all
making
over.
Me itchy.
And I know. I get very itchy when I think about it.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you do have an itch, it could be because the little mites are busy.
Well, Robin had to bring this one up. We have worms inside us, people. That's true. Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. So gross. You know, when you think about how... No, we don't know. Ignorance is bliss when it comes to this stuff. Some stuff you just don't want to know too much about. It's revolting.
Yeah, especially if you're a meat eater. We don't even want to go down that route. You can't think about it too much. Things like tendons and veins and
Oh my God. I was feeding the dog the other day, and you know when you so I give him a mix of that, like the wet food and then the dry pellets, right?
Yeah.
And the wet food comes in these tins, so you take a little bit of that, you put it in the dog bowl, put the dry food and mix it all together. And there was this tube in the wet food. I don't know what kind of a thing.
I've seen it.
You know what I mean? Like a tube, but like a vein or a something that was in there as well. Get Lebang's face. It's so gross.
I think it's intestinal. Can I ask? Do you get your tin soft food from Woolies?
Sometimes, but
okay,
doesn't really
because
from all the shops.
Okay, because I only find those little white intestine tube things in the Woolies ones, and it freaks me out. But I just have to not look, and that's in the cat food. Yeah, I mean, we don't know. We're eating pig's eyeballs in polony, man. You know.
You're right. I don't want to know about it.
I've heard so many things about what's the thing called? That seafood, that little calamari rings. I've heard all sorts of things about what that really is.
Oh God,
I don't even want to repeat it.
Oh no. What?
Like the actual calamari, like the actual ring is like the pigs. Yeah, look, let's just keep it moving. It's just too gross. I heard this at church camp. it was at church camp when this was being revealed to me. I was like, whoa, you guys know quite a lot about this stuff. It's nasty. It's nasty.
I think you were being lied to. I don't
Yeah, I
think
think
that
so.
calamari has got anything. It's not even the same kind of texture as pork, so don't worry.
Oh,
It's not
which
from a
part of the
pig.
pork?
No.
Anyway.
It's not pork penis, that's for sure. It's not pig penis.
Yeah, no.
No.
But not far from that area.
Oh,
If you just move north.
oh.
The asshole.
the actual little pot where they
No, I promise it's not.
Poor Lebang. She's been thinking calamari rings are pigs' assholes.
I know it's not, but I was just flabbergasted at the fact that I'm at church camp. I'm here to hear, the word of the Lord, the mighty Lord God Almighty, and here I am being told that it's actually not calamari. Really, what is it, John? Well, Lebang, if you must know, it's actually, you see that round? Yeah, it's that part of the pig that ate the
No,
bum.
man.
I'm like, really, John? How do you know this? You have to believe me, trust what I say. I'm just sitting there like, okay, needless to say, I haven't been back to that church camp because I was just like, you know what, this isn't up my alley. I'm cool.
Look, Polony is guaranteed to have pig's bum in it. I'll tell you that much.
Guys, are we trying to upset people just around breakfast time? This is so revolting.
And also, this isn't
really
helping my sensitive stomach at the moment.
I know.
What are we
so
doing?
Mean. Oh, please.
Leigh-Ann,
Okay.
sorry. Oh, Gareth.
No, let's change tack. This is not good. All right. We've ranked the coolest TV shows of all time, and we will give you the top 20 now. Leigh-Ann hasn't. This is our research department again that have been hard at work. Our research department have been compiling lists of everything for your entertainment. And this morning, Leigh-Ann has the list of which are the coolest TV shows of all time. And we're just going to go through the top 20, and we're not going to take too long to do this because some of them we probably couldn't care less about. But feel free to jump in, Lebang.
So
okay, let's hit it.
Actually, they're mostly quite recent. But let's see.
Good.
So from number 20, we've got Peaky Blinders, Deadwood.
Yes.
Don't know about that.
Yeah, Deadwood was good too. Okay, cool.
6 Feet Under, Stranger Things, in at number 17.
Cool.
Right.
The Man from Uncle, but Uncle was with dots in the middle of it. That was a spy show in the 60s.
That's an old show. They actually came up with they made a brilliant movie with the Man from Uncle. It was featuring who was in there? I think it was Henry Cavill and
Robert Vaughn, David McCallum.
No, but you're talking about the TV series. I'm talking about the movie they made just a couple of years ago. That's okay, cool. Anyway, next.
Okay, number 15, Mindhunter. Love that. 14, Black Mirror. The Mandalorian.
Yes, Mandalorian. Yay. Go Star Wars.
Luther in at 12.
Right.
The Simpsons, number 11. The Muppet Show, number 10. And that was from 1976 to 81.
The Muppet Show. Good for them. Okay.
Better Call Saul. That ran for quite a while.
That's cool.
And it's still running.
So I'm feeling if Better Call Saul is there, then I'm absolutely sure that the Breaking Bad should be near the top then. Okay.
Number 8 is Seinfeld. The Avengers is in there as well from the 60s. Monty Python's Flying Circus, of course, at number 6.
Excellent.
Mad Men at number 5.
Okay.
Right.
Number 4, Game of Thrones.
Okay, fair enough. Earned it.
The Sopranos.
Yes.
Number 2 is The Wire. The Wire's being called the greatest TV show ever by so many people. And in number 1, I have The Beach Ball of Death on my computer.
It's got to be Breaking Bad. I'm gonna place my bet.
It has to be Breaking Bad.
I mean, some other suggestions coming in here. So Gary says Homeland with Claire Danes is the best series. The Handmaid's Tale says Sharon Johnson.
That was good.
The Wire. I think we've had that already.
That's number 2. Yeah.
Okay, so what do we got, Leigh-Ann? What's number 1? You can't do this to us.
Look at all the suspense.
She's frozen up just before she was about to give us number one.
I think she's done it on purpose to go to the toilet. She'll be back.
No, what's number one? Come on, don't do this to us.
Leigh-Ann, go on.
You can hear me, Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it's Breaking
so
Bad.
we were right.
Right,
No,
thank God.
definitely deserves that.
Right, very good.
Yeah.
All right, it is time now for Collectomania. So, in Collectomania a couple of weeks ago, in fact, it's a couple of months ago now, we had the terrific and amazing and absolutely charming Penny Stein join us. And she, of course, showed a tremendous selection of these incredible photographs of her with famous people who'd all been to South Africa, who she had met, many of them who she'd had conversations with, people who she still to this day knows. Some of them are very, very famous, Lionel Richie, Tina Turner. We had all the most famous people who've ever been to South Africa, as music performers particularly, but others as well. And she took us through her collection of photographs, which she has displayed beautifully in her house. Now, there's something else that Penny Stein has, and she returns for Collectomania this week. And this time she wants to show us her amazing collection of tea sets, as in teacups, tea saucers, teapots. And she is an entertainment, community, and lifestyle PR and publicity specialist. But today she's here because she's also a crazy collector. Hello, Penny Stein. How are you?
Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Hi.
How are you? You look so glamorous. It's nice to see you. How are you this morning?
Lovely.
Cheers. Cup of tea.
Now you're drinking. You're drinking out of a very plain white teacup there.
Well,
that's not one of the ones. Yeah.
It's a very plain one, simply because I'm going to turn you around right now, and I'm going to get this right, because I want to welcome you to my tea room.
Wow!
No
look at this.
way.
Look at this. This is incredible.
What?
Okay. So if you're listening to the show and not watching, Penny just turned the camera around, and instead of us looking at her, we're now looking at this long dining room table. It must be a 12-seater at least, maybe
22.
more.
22. It looks like a
seater table.
Yeah.
And on the table are hundreds of teacups, saucers, pots, the most beautiful and most varied collection I think we've ever seen on the show. This is absolutely astonishing. All right, so Pen, let's start this conversation by reminding you Collectomania brought to you by the South African Gold Coin Exchange and the Scoin Shop. Penny, when did this mania start with tea sets?
So I think, I was brought up in a home where tea was a normal day of life activity. Mm-hmm. A cup of tea, and of course, in my family, tea made everything right.
Absolutely, it still does. Still does, Penny.
It does. I mean, tea could fix the world. So whenever there was a family crisis, or whenever somebody got sick, we'd all sit down and have a cup of tea. And religiously, we would also have a biscuit with it, or a piece of cake, which my mom would make. We didn't come, my mom made cakes. And it was, there's a lovely saying, is that a party without tea and cake is just a meeting. And I'm so with them on that. So it started as a young girl. I'm a real tea drinker. I call myself a tea addict. Sometimes I think I need to go to tea rehab. But it's interesting. I'm very selective about what tea I drink. I'm also a hell of a selective about, some plain chunky mug just doesn't cut it for me.
No.
But you
horrible.
just can't give me tea in a chunky mug.
There is a difference if you drink tea out of a nice cup of china.
Totally.
It tastes better. Tea, you feel more special and refined doing it. Everything improves, right? If you drink it out of some horrible, rough, course,
with some crappy slogan on it.
Ugh.
I mean, that's
not the crappy slogan. Oh, no, Penny, no.
No, that is so crap with a crappy slogan on it. If you bring your chunky cup or a mug to me, I'm sorry, but I'm a total tea snob. What can I do?
All right, So first things first here. Let's just talk. Steph wants to know, milk or tea first? This is
the global question that has been going on for a couple of thousand years.
All right.
So I have my view, and my husband has his view. Milk first for me, but milk after for him. So we get two different. He's got this thing like, why would you put milk and or even a sloppy tea bag in there? You've got to make it, then you've got to put the milk in, and you put how much you want. I know, because I have so much experience, how much milk I need, and I know exactly how many twirls. No, I'm ridiculous.
I'm with you. I think it is a sign of tremendous sophistication if you can make a really good cup of tea. And people screw it up so badly. And there are people who like very milky tea, and people who like very sugary tea. And I think that spoils it, don't you?
Totally. And I mean, people who put sugar in the teapot and then serve it. I'm a no sugar tea person.
Oh, who does that? Who would do that?
Okay, so let me just tell you about things people do, and then I'm going to show you the collection. So I'm lucky enough, really so blessed, try and be a tea addict and travel extensively. I could do a library of pictures of how tea gets served in various parts of the world. And I can tell you the only place where tea gets served properly is in England. The Americans, I'm sorry, know nothing about tea. Most places don't even have tea. Or they give you like a hot chocolate glass cup with tea in it. Or they give you some cappuccino cup that's got cracks or chips on it. And they put the hot water and the tea bag separate. But I don't know. It's just awful. It's just awful. And then also you go and you get those chunky steel things that have already half bent. So when you pour your tea, it all pours out. Instead of the funnel, it pours out the top. I know everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, those ones that the caterers buy.
Yeah, and then and then it all pours out the top instead of the funnel. And there's nothing worse than a messy teapot, I have to tell you. But Gareth, I do have to tell you, I take my 5 roses with me everywhere. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't know them. I never met them. But I do know that I most probably own a tea plant with the amount of tea I've bought all my life. Twinings makes a great tea. I'm not a rooibos tea person.
No, me neither.
But Twinings makes a great, and I love all these kind of names, Lady Afternoon, Lady Breakfast, Smoky Grey. I mean, these names like Fortnum and Mason in London, who are classic tea people, have come up with everyone's doing tea. You can buy tea with any brand on it. It's never the brand. It's about the flavor. I do love Earl Grey.
It's funny you say all of this, because I'm massively into also nothing too fancy. I don't mind a bit of 5 roses. Very good, right? I don't love the rooibos, although I know people who only drink rooibos and they're very particular about it. But it is the best thing, and I think tea is wonderful. If you make a good cup of tea, it almost substitutes for a meal as well. You don't need much more.
Totally.
Right.
But there's also a quick question about tea leaves or tea bags.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you have the time and the patience, obviously tea leaves are fabulous. And it becomes an event with tea leaves. You've got to let them draw, but not everyone has the time for that. So, I mean, if you treat yourself occasionally and then you need a good strainer. All right, let's start here.
All right, we're going to look at particular parts of this collection now. Let's get into it.
I'm not going to go through everything because there's a lot, but I'm going to go through, first of all, interesting. This is what all the South Americans drink their tea out of.
What is it?
I got this in the furthest place. It's called the End of the World in Ushuaia. It's got a silver spoon.
Sure.
Wow.
This has got a hallucinogenic in it. I'm not ready to see pink elephants flying yet, but it has a straw, if you can see, and you suck the tea out the top. Every person in South America has one of these in their hands in the streets. And, it's so cold in some of these places. Okay.
Right.
This set, I support Jenna Clifford enormously. It's her classic rose set.
Beautiful.
She's famous for her roses. This is another favorite. Just look how magnificent this is. You actually need to put a deposit down when you drink out of this cup in my house.
Wow, very
This
pretty.
is made by Kenny from Vulcani Creatives in Alex, and I got a beautiful set from him. Oh my God, they're masterpieces. And this is the cake, the biscuit platter that goes with it.
Beautiful.
They're absolutely gorgeous. Look at them. Definitely
and
worth
Penny, has anybody broken one of these while they've been at your house for tea? And you use them, right? You don't just put you don't put them on display. You actually use them. They must be used.
What the heck? If it breaks, it breaks. It breaks. What am I waiting for?
Yeah,
Gareth,
exactly.
I got this. Look at this. Look how clever this is. Here's the lid. Here's cup number 1.
Yes.
Here's cup number 2.
There's the sugar bowl. There's teapot. Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's very, very clever. Cute. That's fantastic.
That's cute. Okay. This is Clementina van der Veld, very famous South African. That's a real collector's piece. This is also locally made. I'm not sure by who. Lauren Kaplan, 2011. This is a very famous, and I'm sure you recognize this print. This is an original Marimekko Scandinavian from Helsinki. She started the poppies. The Scandinavians make magnificent, practical teapots. This is beautiful. This is a George Jensen Scandinavian.
Right.
These are all my English, and you know what? I'll whip through them quickly, but they're all Royal Dalton, Royal Albert, all the classic English antiques are all roses. It's all floral.
Yes.
These are very affordable, lovely for one. Maxwell Williams, very affordable.
Yes, that's nice. Yes.
These are Art Decos. I mean, these feel like paper. They're absolutely gorgeous. Wow. Here's a serious teapot. If you have a look at the size of that compared to this, you'll see what I'm talking about.
How many cups do you get out of that pink one?
This pink thing, I've never tried it. Somebody bought it for me for a gift. I'm sure it makes terrible tea. I'm too scared to try it. I'm sure. Okay, there's another Jenna Clifford teapot. Again, her roses.
Beautiful. Yeah.
This is locally made. This is my most recent Peter Motabene, which was given to me by a girlfriend for my birthday. This pastel collection with gold was given to me as a gift by a girlfriend who lives in LA. Her mom passed. She inherited it. She said it's so not her. So she gave me the entire set.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
This is a delight. This is my Bonnie and Clyde. Look. There's your my Bonnie and Clyde. Isn't that cute? Very cute. Yeah. Don't worry, yours is coming up, Gareth. I think this is Gareth's teapot I'm coming to. Okay, so these are a little bit of kitsch that I got years and years ago. Little cabbages, little house, little teddy bear, which I'm waiting to give to my granddaughter when she's... Okay, so this is very English. And Gareth, I think this is your kind of teapot, horse and hound.
Oh, it's good. Oh, very good. It's got a hunting scene in it. That's also very English, but it looks quite fancy. I can imagine
this with your dogs, and this is your sort of teapot. For sure. Am I right or wrong?
Well, you know what? To me, I choose because I'm more of a pragmatist. I like a teapot that pours properly. And I won't lie to you, some of the best tea I've ever had is out of those aluminium ones, that the caterers make? You can buy cheap as they cost, I don't know, 30 Rand or whatever, but they make the best tea. So although these are far more beautiful than those, I do feel that the best tea is sometimes made by the ugliest pots.
Okay, it can happen. Here's another one. This is Art Deco. And this is actually a coffee set. It's got very small little cups. I mean, I just put this here because it's so lovely. There again is another. These are monster teacups. I got them as a gift. They're very
Now,
beautiful.
that's that's an interesting discussion. I mean, how big should the average teacup be? Because the English make small teacups.
Yes,
that
they
you
do.
you basically have I don't know, 10 sips and the tea's finished. And I think that's quite good if you've got people that you don't want to stay all day. But
No,
some
I'm
people
so
some people
with
like
you.
a big mug and you know, a liter of tea. I don't think that's very nice.
So I'll tell you what I find with the big cups is it gets cold quicker. So by the time you're halfway through it, it's already like lukewarm and
But
bordering on cold. So
sis.
it's not an option for me. This is Jenna Clifford's new range, which she sent to me. It's her pilot range. She wanted my
wow.
comments. So
And
I'm testing it out and sending it back and giving her my comments on how everything it works. I think it's pretty lovely.
and just so
These,
that for the people who are not watching and who are listening, it's all a black and white thing that she's busy
it's
doing
black
now.
and white, yeah.
Looks very,
It's
very
black and
nice.
white roses. It's her black rose, yeah. So
Nice.
that's new.
Okay.
I mean, her stuff is really lovely and affordable and feminine. These are magnificent. These are Royal Albits.
Right. So
This
we're back
I
to the
have-
English with all their
Yeah.
roses.
This, I have to tell you, must be 130 years old, this green set.
Wow.
This was my late grandmother's, who then
Sure.
it was my mother's, and then I inherited it. So it's this green with roses, with
That
a
looks
cake
lovely.
plate. I mean, they're just beautiful. They're just beautiful. And you
And
know,
again,
the thing,
and
Yeah.
again, the thing about those is that it's terribly thin china. So
Yeah.
you know, it's I mean, it's very fragile, but man, do they it's just to drink tea out of that just makes you feel very much more special and sophisticated and fancy
Yes.
than to
And
drink
you
it out of
know,
some New York
I'm of-
mug.
Yeah. You know, I'm of the view, quite honestly, that having tea is an event, and everything, and tea has to go with cake and a biscuit. It's an event. It's not just, there's nothing worse. I mean, tea for me is a celebration of, I mean, it's not like we're sitting in the office and I'm drinking tea, but it's a
Yeah.
celebration with friends. They all know I'm a tea drinker. They all know they're going to get tea. Forget about cappuccino. I don't even know how to use the cappuccino machine. I don't know how.
But-
I know,
But
yeah.
Penny, also, I mean, there's a difference
Sorry.
between the sort of tea party where you would be, you know, if you're just having tea at home, do you sometimes
Yeah.
just make a mug, or do you
Yeah.
always have a teapot and do it properly?
No, proper teapot, because I can't get going until I've had at least a teapot in the morning.
Okay,
I can't
got you.
talk. I'm in a
Okay.
bad mood. I don't talk to me. I need my entire, yeah. So I didn't take everything out, but I've taken some interesting ones out. And I think I've
Listen,
covered
Again,
most
just
of them.
to let people who aren't watching this on YouTube and
Yeah.
who are listening,
Yeah.
Penny has got the most enormous table, and she's only put out a few of her tea sets because she can't actually fit them all on the table. But it's taken up
Crazy,
the entire
wow.
table. And you've been through what, I don't know, 20, 25 sets with us this morning, and we still aren't
Yeah.
even finished. All right,
No.
here, some opinions. So Tembisa wants to know, she brings out the teapot and a teapot blanket or a tea cozy. And people always
Yes.
look at me funny, but I love it. It shows that I care for my guests. Do you agree with Tembisa
Oh,
about
I'm
tea?
so with her, 100%, 10 out of 10. But what does her tea cover look like?
Yes, because
Is
it's
it a
revolting.
crochet?
If it's revolting, yeah.
Is it a little crochet, like a toilet crochet? Or is it just one of those lovely old-fashioned covers that used to have a bit of fluff inside, you know, a bit of a stuffing to keep it warm? That's such a beautiful old-fashioned thing. And you know, she's so right. That actually is love and care, in my view. Well done.
Yes, but I will again say that there are those horrible tea cozies that are really, really ugly, and from the 70s especially. You know the kind that I mean.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
totally. And it's
Those
normally
mis-
that crochet sort of vibe.
Yeah.
And you know
Yeah.
they're never washed.
Yes, and they've got spills on them and milk,
Yeah.
old milk on them and stuff, you know. And
All right.
well, milk's another issue, yeah. in tea.
So this, well, there's some people who like hot milk, some people who like cold milk.
Yeah.
Some people who don't mind using that long life milk, which I feel makes tea nasty.
Yeah.
And you get those people who have the almond milk, or people who have
soya.
Soy milk. These days it's complicated, right? You probably need all of that stuff on your table there, Penny, because sometimes you have guests who have such bizarre needs.
Listen, I come from a gigantic family with the most weirdest, bizarre needs. I'm so used to non-fat, half-fat, glucose intolerant. You know, you can throw anything at me, and nothing shocks me.
Now,
but
you say that, but I mean, there's some things that I always have a bit of a problem with. I don't find it possible to drink tea out of a glass mug.
Oh no, that is just oh God! And you know, how dare they do it? Like, how dare you do it? It's just like, what is it? And you know, or they give you, those glass hot chocolate mugs. Oh, and they make tea in that. Like, and then they give you a teaspoon. Well, before we had COVID, and the teaspoon was too short. So how the heck are you meant to get it out? You put a fork in there, and then you break the tea back. I mean, it's just horrible. It's just nasty and horrible.
So Carl is giving me some shit here. Carl says, Gareth, I used to think you were cool with your New York. I have a little a cappuccino, not a cappuccino, a sort of an espresso mug. Now I realize you're just uncouth and uncivilized. Shame. Well, yes, Carl, clearly I am.
Tisk,
I'll take that. Michelle says, Penny, I love all your collections. I collect teapots. Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful collection.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. You should ask people to send in some of their collections. Because, teapot collectors and teacup collectors will always adore other people's stuff. It's just a love that you have.
Do you go to people's houses sometimes and offer to buy their tea sets from them just because they're so nice?
Not really. I don't think they would sell them if they had a go. I'll tell you, my sister has some fabulous stuff. And I often hint at, like, why don't you just give it to me? Or why don't you just lend it to me? And she's just not interested. And,
no.
I say, what are you going to leave it to me? We're both going to be gone. And then what? I'm never going to have the pleasure of having it. That's why I said, like, what's the point of keeping all of this stuff for when I'm gone? What the hell? Use it now. If it breaks, it breaks. So what?
So you've taught us a few really useful lessons here. It's all good and well to have these collections, but you must use them. It's no point in having them stored in a cupboard. If you've got people coming around for tea, use the fancy stuff. Use the stuff that's in your collection. Do not keep it on display, even if it's very valuable and one of a kind.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Bring out the fine china.
Yeah, I mean that's very. I think she's frozen there. We'll try and get her back in a second. But I mean, there she is. Okay, you're back. Sorry, there we go. So you've got to use the stuff.
Absolutely, and let me tell you something. I'm 60. I started this when I was young, so this is a lifetime of collecting. Collecting doesn't have to be expensive too, You find deals, you find people who are emigrating, you find people whose children have inherited things and they don't want them and they give them to you because they just, don't have the space or they don't have the interest. I'm of the view that there are so many antique shops and, Cape Town's got great ones, but there's so many in Gauteng. Even if you own 2 little cups or one for yourself, that's beautiful. And that's how you start a collection. And
well, I also think there's something very valuable in turning day-to-day things, mundane daily things, into rituals that mean something to you. And if you use the right stuff and you have, if you have nice teacups and you have the right tea, the one that you like, and you have lovely little spoons and things, it makes everything, it makes it an exciting ritual that you look forward to every day, instead of some schlep oh no, I have to make a cup of tea before I can start my day. Rather make it fun.
And I'm very into this reusing story on every level, from clothing to crockery to pots, pans, cups, tea. Use it, reuse it. Why do we need to put more stuff into, the world? Why don't we just use it,
What we already got.
recycle,
Yeah.
give away, let others enjoy some of your pleasurable things when you have a lot? And I give a lot away too. I mean, if you come and say, I love this, oh, I had the best cup, the chances are I'm going to say, take it home. But it's about sharing. Tea, an event, is about caring, friendship. Normally you talk about all your problems over a cup of tea, or what a bad day you had, or what a good day you had, or whatever it is. It's a social event. It's the same as a coffee. My husband Aubrey is a coffee drinker, and he has cappuccinos, and that's their story. I have teas. So we're all different,
Yeah.
Enjoy
Well,
it. Just
what do you think of
enjoy it. And
this?
the woman who puts
the woman who puts the what? I think we lost her there for a second. Sharon says, what about condensed
put
milk?
warmth, like her warmth is coming through. Her kindness is coming through.
That's Tembisa. She was she says it's very important. Now, Sarah says in the Middle East, tea is typically drunk in a glass.
Yes. We all have our different things. But when you get to my age, you finally find the thing that works for you. And I'm not scared to say that. I've gone through 70,000 cups of teas in my life to find my perfect little cup.
Like. Right.
I mean, is that so terrible? No.
No. Sharon
if I have
says,
to take my teacup with me, I'll take it. Do you know what I mean?
What is Sharon's comment here is condensed milk with tea is the best. Ooh, I don't know about that.
No, there are people who do that.
Wow.
Yeah. There are. Winter is, winter time. There are people, everybody. It often tea drinking has to do with where you come from. So if you come from your family where no one drank tea, and there are millions of people like that, or no one drank coffee, then it's not a thing, if it wasn't a ritual. If your mum or your gran or your gogo or your uncle or your auntie used to put condensed milk in when you were a kid, you'll remember that. These are the things that because it tasted so delicious. That was a sweet, beautiful moment. So you remember these things. Me, it was my granny who had this, and I never will forget it, this ghastly fly net over the milk jug.
Yes, I
And
remember
those things? That's hell with the flies in Gauteng. I've also got ghastly little nets with beads on them. Okay. I mean, how many flies do you find in your cup of tea and milk? Many. These monster flies that fly around here.
Listen, thank you so much for sharing your collection with us. I just love it when you're on. People loved you the last time. They're loving you this time as well. And it's always great to see what makes people happy. These are the things that we do every day that make us happy. And a cup of tea, as you said, a cup of tea is a place for you to talk about your problems with your friends, but it's also a place where a lot of gossip in Gauteng happens, right? I mean, a lot of people gossip over a cup of tea, sipping tea, literally.
Or they're trying to save the world. Yeah.
That's also true.
Right now, they're trying to save the world over a cup of tea. Trust me.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Penny, you're fantastic. It's lovely to see you, and thank you very much for being on the show.
Lovely. Thank you. Take good care of all of yourselves.
Lots
Go and have
love.
a nice cup of tea now, okay?
That's exactly the plan. I'm about to go and do exactly that. That's Penny Stein and
That's
her
so
incredible collection of tea sets, tea cups, pots of tea, just the most beautiful stuff. And if you want to see any of that, then you can obviously go and check it on the YouTube channel. And we put up a couple of pictures as well. What a terrific collection. Unbelievable. If you've got a collection that you want to share with us, let us know, because we want to make sure everybody else hears about it too. And you can bring that to us with the South African Gold Coin Collection and Gold Coin Exchange, rather, and the Scoin Shop. You can check them out at scoinshop.com. That's S before the word, coinshop.com. It's all one word, scoinshop.com, and go and see whether you might want to start a collection of something that actually appreciates in value. And if you don't know it, over the last couple of weeks with Russia and Ukraine being in the news, gold price has gone sky high, and you probably want to be on that train. So if you're looking to diversify your portfolio and also protect your assets, gold is never a bad idea. So go and get your first gold coin, or even a silver one, or even a piece of one, because you can do that these days by talking to the guys at the Scoin Shop, and they'll help you out. Might as well start now. There's no time to invest like the present. And if you are a collector and you want to share your collection with us, let us know by sending us an email to contact@cliffcentral.com. All right. Thank you very much, Lebang and Leigh-Ann, and you for joining us. We will see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock bright and early. Have a good Monday, everybody.